Hi there, my name is Toby, and today I want to tell you about a very interesting development in the research around the Buga Sphere. So they've been studying this for a while now, and they started to broadcast frequencies at it, different frequencies. It didn't have much effect, but then they brought in a lady who knew how to do chanting. And she was also an expert in Hindu philosophy, the Vedas. And she was doing Hindu, Vedic chanting. And it is more than that. She actually did some research and worked out particular mantras that might be useful or might have an effect on this thing. And of course it did. So when she chanted these mantras, the scientists noticed the Buga Sphere changed. Now it had an effect. They managed to get different readings from it. And they repeated this, I think, 3 times. Always worked. Now, what does this tell you? To me, it's quite simple. This tells me that this Buga Sphere is simply etheric technology. All of this has to be etheric technology. That's why we don't understand it. The ether, you can think of the ether as the bridge between consciousness, spirit, and matter, material substance. Now, etheric energy by itself, you can think of that as consciousness energy. It can't do much, you see, but with a particular technology that can focus the etheric energy, concentrate the consciousness further, then you can generate some physical effects. So this technology, this alien technology, is mysterious because we can't see any method of controlling it. There's no computer. There's no circuitry. Now there is geometry, there are patterns drawn on it, and there is some sort of internal geometry going on, but nothing that we can recognize. So how is it controlled? It's controlled by consciousness. It's not any technology that we've got. And even the scientists studying it, they don't really know what they're looking at. You see, the real thing that they've got to look at is the mathematics. On that sphere, there are geometries, there's a pattern. It's actually a pentagram. If you look at it, it's a pentagram. And then it's got a little thing like a circuit board and little dots on it and lines. So there's quite a lot of geometry on there, but someone has to do detailed measurements of that geometry. And then you have to give that to a mathematician. And in particular, a mathematician that would be expert in Pythagorean mathematics, Platonic mathematics, which is really the mathematics around the golden ratio. It's a particular type of mathematics called incommensurability. And I bet you will find a lot of very interesting things there. You see, we don't look at mathematics and geometry by itself, because that is not physics. A physicist will just say, well, what's that? That's just a drawing. That's just a pattern. That's nothing. No, it's not. It's geometry. And it's particular mathematics. Very, very clever mathematics. You have to analyze it. And mathematics is not physics. It is metaphysics. Mathematics and geometry is the bridge. It's the bridge between spirit and the ether. You see, look at it like this. Pure spirit consciousness is abstract. It's totally abstract, formless, shapeless, beyond space, beyond time. Nothing to do with space and time. But consciousness can create geometry. Or it doesn't create mathematics, because mathematics is absolute truth. You can ask any mathematician, is mathematics true? Yes, that is the definition of it. The process of logic. If you create a geometry that is space and time, that is a pattern in space, that now has to follow some laws. You know, a triangle. A triangle always has to make 180 degrees. In no other way, all different triangles, but they all have to make 180 degrees. It's a law. That is beyond everything. That's always the case. So this mathematics is a function of consciousness. It can only exist in consciousness. Mathematics, you know, you have to think through it. You can write it down, but it's only in consciousness. And this is the secret. Knowing the correct mathematics, which that allows spirit to manifest into etheric energy. And if you've got the right technology, a bit more, that can then condense, focus inwards into physical energy. Some slight physical effect. So the Buga Sphere, okay, it's definitely the real deal. To me, that's obviously real. We've got loads of these spheres now. In no big deal, once you understand the science of ether, none of this is a big deal. But they say, all right, it's cold to the touch. It's always a bit cold. But water will evaporate. Water always evaporates. So it's already got some interesting effects. Now, the fact that it's cold, to me, means that is etheric energy. Spiritual energy is colder. Physical energy is hotter. That is heat. Heat is physical energy. But in the absence of physical energy, you get cold. There's no energy. But what happens in a space where there's no energy? Well, we know there's always energy. There is still spiritual energy. So you take away the physical energy, all you are left with is the spiritual energy. So you can say that's cold. It's the same like psychic phenomena. If you have a ghost in the room, it gets cold. Or they measure it, they go around, there's a little cold area. Maybe there's an astral being, an etheric being in that cold area. It's a bubble of etheric energy. So outside the bubble it's warmer, but inside the bubble it's colder. There is some being, some consciousness holding a bubble together. See, if the consciousness wasn't there, that bubble would disappear, the heat would just go there. Something has to hold this bubble of etheric energy. It's not physical energy, it's more like it's pushing the physical energy away. That's why it's colder. It's a concentration of etheric energy or spiritual energy. So the Buga Sphere is doing this. Now, and it's a particular technology. Okay, that's the important bit. You see, you can have a powerful consciousness, but it still can't do anything. Like this is a metal sphere I've got here. And then, of course, this is a crystal sphere. But that is not the Buga Sphere. See, that will not levitate. I don't care how powerful my consciousness is, that will still not levitate. It needs a particular technology to levitate. The Buga Sphere will levitate. But it requires powerful consciousness. You see, this is the next thing. They still haven't done it. They don't know what they're doing. They brought in a lady who knows chanting, and she researched a particular chant. Now, again, I should just say, interestingly, in the Vedas, the Hindu scriptures, they talk about these things, the Vimanas, and she knows that, she talked about it. The Vimanas were these levitating buildings, craft, big ones. But they also talked about spheres. They called them the Watchers. So they've always got these spheres, orbs going around looking. They're like drones, observational drones. And they can also transmit information. So they are like, radio. You just communicate. But how are they controlled? Controlled by a powerful consciousness. Some consciousness, alien, whatever you want to think of it, is going to have a look. They send a drone down, look around. They are controlling it with their mind. Consciousness controls it. And they talked about this, in the Vedas. And they have the Vimana Shastra, an actual text, a scripture that talks about the Vimanas, flying machines. And it tells you how to build them. You can research it. They've got plans. It's like a big metal thing. And they use mercury, spinning mercury. Particular substance. Mercury is very interesting. It's like water, fluid. Fluid means the ether. It behaves like the ether. But it's also metal, a conductor. And it's also an incredible receiver of information. You can have a radio antenna in mercury. It's very, very good for picking up frequency, information. And if you spin it in a circle very fast, you're going to get some interesting effects. Powerful magnetic field, powerful electric currents, just by moving this mercury. You're moving it through the ether, creating a disturbance in the ether, drawing electrical energy out of the ether. You're creating a disturbance in the ether by spinning mercury. And that's the basis of these craft. And arguably we've done it now. We have reverse engineered UFOs using mercury, spinning mercury. You also have red mercury, very interesting, diamagnetic material. So another magnetic effect, a different effect. You have all these substances that have different effects within the ether. And it's all because of the geometry of the atomic structure. It's always geometry. But now the next thing they need to do is bring in something like a Tibetan yogi or a shaman. Some advanced meditator. Someone who's got powerful consciousness. A psychic. Even bring in the famous one, Yuri Gella. Yuri Gella, yeah, I think he's the real deal. We had him years ago on television in London, before the internet. And he was doing this. We watched him, bending spoons, fixing watches. And he did it on television. And millions of people watched it. But out of millions of people, there were hundreds, if not thousands of people that did it as well. They managed to bend a spoon, fix a watch. And I was trying. It didn't work for me. I can't do it. But it's because I don't think I really believed it. I don't believe it. It does require an extremely powerful, focused consciousness. And that means belief. You have to believe it. Now, I do believe in the chi, the ether. But, okay, go back a step. It's still, you can only do so much. Like I said, Yuri Gella, or anyone, however powerful, an alien, they would not be able to levitate this sphere because there's no technology in it. However, they can affect it etherically. You might be able to warm it up slightly, heat it up, very slight effect. But in order to levitate it, you need a particular substance, a particular geometry. You need some technology. Then when the etheric energy goes in, it actually gets amplified, goes through a process, creates a magnetic field, has some effect, and then you can levitate it, control it. But consciousness has to go in. So if they bring a yogi, a shaman, a Yuri Gella to the Buga Sphere, let him have a go, let them try and meditate on it, now see what happens. So you need to bring in a mathematician to analyse the geometry. You need to bring in a psychic, or a meditator. And now you also know you can bring in someone who knows chanting, mantras, sound frequencies. But again, chanting a mantra, again, the mantras, these were not just made up. They were mathematical. They were real technology. That was a language, that was a resonant language. Those sounds were powerful sounds. What I mean is they were actual technology. Now you can do a shamanic person, a shaman would also have an effect, but they're doing random sounds, anything they like. See, if this was the Buga Sphere, I'd love to be able to see it. I would be tuning into it, feeling it. Then I would chant, ooh. I would find, I'd get a feedback. Try and find the resonance. Even say words, make different sounds, play around. But feel it. Trying to feel how it works, how to resonate with it. Its consciousness must go into that technology. This is why and it's proof, this is evidence. The Buga Sphere is brilliant because now we've got evidence and they're open sourcing it. People say if that was, discovered in America, hidden away, gone off to the secret research, and mostly they are just hidden away, taken away. They don't want us to know. Again, the main reason why all these UFOs have been kept secret for so long is because they debunk modern science. All the modern science we've got, modern history we've got, is all suddenly debunked. Yeah, that's all nonsense now. Look at all these UFOs. Look at these levitating spheres. Why does your science not explain it? Too many people would realise that. Modern science is rubbish. It's not telling us anything. What are you talking about? And they have to have modern science. Very limited, very controlled science. And it's mostly nonsense. Yeah, of course you've got engineering. But like I said, even the scientists studying the Buga Sphere, it's very simple. They don't know what they're doing. They're looking at it with physics. And I should also say, you see, look, Yuri Gella, let's go back to Yuri Gella. He's interesting. So he was researched by all these three-letter agencies. He was in there. A serious group of scientists were researching a lot of stuff with him. So it's documented. And they actually always had problems with him. Whenever he came in, always things would go wrong. The scientific instruments wouldn't work. Computers wouldn't work, lights would go on and off. It always had some random things going on. Mysterious effects. Scientists would be having visions. It's because it's consciousness, psychic work, etheric energy. Not physical energy, but when condensed etheric energy, when it condenses, it becomes light. It becomes electromagnetism, and it will have slight effects. But they're random effects. Like it will go into a computer, but it won't run the program, but you will create, little electric currents in the computer. The computer would crash, or the light will go on and off, flicker. It's just disturbing the flow of electricity. And they actually called it the Yuri Gella effect. The scientists called it that. Oh, we got the Yuri Gella effect. And they all talk about this. There was another one. There's a lady, I can't remember her name. Now, she channels the Galactic Federation. The aliens talking. I don't pay too much attention to this because channeling, of course I believe in it, but all channeling is gone through a brain. It's still interpreted by the brain of the channeler to some degree. So the language used, the words used, the understanding of it is still slightly limited by the brain. So you have to listen to channeling, always with a pinch of salt. You still require your own critical mind. Just because it's channeled information yeah, doesn't mean it's right. And a lot of channeling information, yeah, it's genuine channeling, but it's wrong. Either the spirit doesn't know, or the spirit is misleading you, or it's interpreted through a brain that doesn't quite understand it. Anyway, point being is this lady channels the Galactic Federation, aliens talking. And she was on an interview, and I saw her on this interview for a bit because, of course, the interviewer, he doesn't really believe it. He believes in aliens. So she's chatting, they're chatting, and suddenly she goes off channeling, oh, the Galactic Federation. And he nearly starts laughing because it's just so odd. You know, it's very strange the way the lady talks. But, you know, he listened. Now, the interesting thing is, at the moment she channeled it, they had problems. You know, computer crashed, some lights flickered, you know, something happened. And it never happens in the studio, never happened before. And when it stopped channeling, it all went back to normal. So some powerful etheric energy was coming into the studio and was creating some effects. Now, they are random effects. That's the trouble. That, you know, why don't they talk to us? Yeah, it doesn't work quite like that. Now, I suspect maybe there would be some consciousness that could get into the software in a computer and play with the software. Yeah, but I'm not sure. The etheric energy is translating into electricity, light. That's having a direct physical effect on the atomic structure and the flow of electricity. Software is slightly different. Software is a language, that is mathematics, that is pure spirit. It's not actually etheric energy software. Hardware is where the etheric energy would have an effect. Anyway, I just wanted to share this story about the developments in the Buga Sphere. Very interesting, and again, it's just validating what I'm saying here about the etheric energy. And I'm trying to explain this as a science. So this is not, okay, it is esoteric, but it must be logical. And you must be able to explain everything. Psychic phenomena, physical phenomena, everything must be able to be explained with one science. And I think the only science is this science of ether. So thank you so much again for your time listening to me. Please do leave me any questions or comments, and I look forward to seeing you in any of these other videos here.